Hello and welcome to MBT Footy Talks. I am T-Man Tawanda Yimnanika, aka T-Man the Tremendous. And I'm joined here by my co-host, Malcolm Kapler, aka Mel B. What's good, homie?
Mel B for brilliance. What's good in the hood? Is everything
What's
good in the
good in the
football hood? In the soccer hood? The soccer?
yeah, in the
Uh,
soccer.
the soccer. Kicking ball, putting in net game,
Yeah.
netball game,
Um, net.
ball in net
Yeah.
game.
Ball in the net. Ball in the net. But I just wanted to I just wanted to um, get started with the show before we proceed with our show. Um, please like, subscribe, as Malcolm would say.
LCS. Let's get it. Like,
LCS,
comment,
LCS.
subscribe. Subscribe, please subscribe. We're building a community here, and the more, the merrier. That's how I
The
see
more
it.
the merrier, and it will help us very much. Please, we would really appreciate it. Let's
Yeah.
get this show on the road. Uh, Malcolm,
Yeah.
what happened this weekend? Is everything good?
Everything is, what's the word? It's bad, man. It's bad. I'm wearing the Man United shirt today because it's laundry day, and so you could say I'm a loyal supporter.
Are you?
I'm wearing the shirt, am I not?
Because no, you are him. He's a very loyal United supporter, and as for me, I'm not wearing my cap today because this weather is also terrible. But I'm pleased to announce that we have officially come to the threshold of this Premier League. We're coming to the point where it's getting late. And for me, I think it's going to be very interesting. I think this is not over yet because it might just go to the wire, depending on how things are going.
Mm,
What do you think, Malcolm?
in terms of everything that's going on now in the league, uh,
You could say that pretty much.
it's very hard to call, but I don't see much changes to what's already there, except for maybe another stumble or two on the part of United or Newcastle that's giving Liverpool hope. The title, I think Arsenal have to pray for a slip up from Man City, and the form City's in, I don't see it happening. I think Arsenal will just miss out by a point. That's if Man City even lose a game. So
To be honest, Malcolm, I think the possibility for me, because City have a very hard week. It's not going to be an easy week for them. As you know, tomorrow they play the Champions League, so it's not an easy game. It's a very tricky game. I mean, they rested players this weekend, and basically, even though we could say they had a very not so great performance, but they still won the game at the end of the day, and has put them up top still, regardless. But I feel like this week's going to take a toll. I feel like the last few games have taken a toll. Not to say they will drop, but the possibility is there. It's just on them, really. So
Sounds very hopeful from a Arsenal fan. Very
I
hopeful.
have to be, I have to be. I have to try, But for City, they can't really afford to drop points right now.
I don't think anybody in the top seven can afford to drop anything from this point forward. I think
Mm.
now there's been a set standard. City have set the standard. Arsenal have set the standard. Newcastle have set a standard the whole season. United as well, but they're starting to fall apart. So I think if the league ends up the way it is right now, would it be a good season? Probably for our teams, but I think Arsenal are hoping for that slip up, and United are hoping for Liverpool or Newcastle to keep on slipping up. That's the thing. It's becoming a hoping situation now. It seems like it's not in United's or Arsenal's hands anymore. It seems like we have to rely on other other results and other teams to do us favors, which is not the way it's supposed to go. You know.
No, like I understand. Like it's not a situation I would want. I'd like Arsenal to be in the driving seat of this, but they're no longer in the driving seat. It's now City in the driving seat. Just something happened. Like I checked, even if they lose one game, it's out of his. For me, it's quite literally a thing of consistency with them. They've been winning their games. They've been on it this whole season. Yes, they had to catch up in a way, but now they're at that point where they just go win all the games into the end of the season. I think for me, what I'd say is that City's run is is a bit tricky because not because they're not just playing the Premier League, they're playing the Champions League as well this week and next week. So it's a tricky run of games. And the games they have, let me just get it up quickly. Um, the games they have, it's literally quite interesting. Even though they're playing team, but they're playing. For instance, they play Everton away. Yeah, they play Everton away. Then Madrid again next week, and then Chelsea at home. Now we can banter Chelsea as much as we like, but do you see a bit of a resurgence because they won this weekend?
Uh, I don't. I don't. I think Bournemouth were unlucky in that game. I think Chelsea is still the same. I think they finally got their win. They scored their goals, and it's like remember when Chelsea won a poor run, then they beat Leicester 3-1. Then we thought Chelsea's back, and in the next game they go and lose. So I don't see it. I don't see Chelsea doing anything against Man City besides losing. If they get a draw, it will be good for Arsenal. They'll make the title race very interesting. But again, I don't see it. I don't see this City slip up coming unless Real Madrid really damage their confidence by beating them in the Champions League. But that could also be a problem because if you beat Man City in the Champions League, they're gonna go 100% for the league in the FA Cup. I think that's just less
No,
games
and
for them.
that I think they'll take attrition. It'll be very difficult for them, for me, because in regards to the fact that they are going away for both matches this week, like going away is not easy. Like there's a reason why going away is not easy. You have to travel, you have to go, come back, you have to train in those facilities. Like it's not easy, but like they have to, if they really want to win this Champions League, like they have to take something from the Bernabeu. Like not many English teams go there and win at the Bernabeu. Not many, very few, very
Yeah, that's true.
very
But
very
I
few.
feel like the City side is capable of doing it. I don't know. I've like I don't want to predict the scoreline in this one, but I feel like City will dominate the ball, and I feel they might nick this game. I feel like it's possible for City to. This treble chat is still on, dude. But if they lose
Yeah,
against Real Madrid, there's nothing. They might even, like you say, stumble in the Premier League, which will be a dream for Arsenal supporters because Arsenal are still in it. Big win over Newcastle this weekend. And it's all about staying in the race. That's all that matters. Like stumbles do happen, but City are a quality side. That's why I don't really see it happening, but it might happen. It's not like it's impossible, you know. There's still like a slim chance of uh, overtaking from Arsenal, but I feel like Liverpool getting top four is more of a chance of Liverpool getting top four than Arsenal overtaking Man City.
no, like I was just wondering watching the Newcastle game this weekend, Malcolm, that where was this when we were playing Southampton? Where was this when we played against West Ham?
West Ham City as well. You
City
could
as
have
well.
played
Like
exactly
where where
you
was
could
this
have set
performance?
they
Where
could
was
have
this
set
performance?
and done that against Man City. That's why I'm like, you guys are countering against Newcastle. Why didn't you do this against Man City? You guys could.
Right? Like I'm
It,
just
it's frustrating. I also wonder sometimes, like with United as well. Like we'll beat certain teams and then we'll lose to teams that are weaker than those teams we just beat. It confuses a person.
like where was this counter? Like City, we could have used this against City, and like let's not beat about the bush. Like Newcastle are a quality side this season. They have a very solid defense. They have a very solid midfield. And we managed to nullify that midfield. We managed to not make them get the most of their chances. Why didn't we do this against City? Why didn't we played differently? Where was this the whole time? Why didn't we start the Polish boy? That Polish boy is actually really good. Kivio, he looks pretty good. He's better than Holding.
I think I think
It
Ateta is now at the stage of he wants to take risks. I think in the City game he didn't want to take any risks.
he played it too safe. Like it irritates me because why you're in a title race, you're supposed to take risks. But like
But the thing is with risk and reward. Remember, sometimes you can take a risk, it could go bad. Sometimes you can take a risk and
like
then you could get
right
what you
now,
want.
sorry Malcolm, like right now, we are guaranteed second. Like none of y'all are like no Newcastle, no United, they're not catching us up. There's no way we're dropping second. If you were worried about finishing, even if he took a risk and we finished third. You could say, okay, at least he tried to go for it. But from what I saw, I was just like, you kind of just, if I would have gone away from the City game, if we lost 2-1, I'd be like, all right, at least we tried. Versus getting hit 4-1 at the Etihad. Like, where were these
Mm.
performances? Where were these tactics? Where were these selections? Like, I, it irritates me because I'm just so frustrated that not only could we have been winning the league, but we would have won the league by a number of points, not even by 1 point or 2 points, by a number of points. Not to slag of Newcastle, I think they were fortunate. They didn't get they didn't get clear cut chances. I think some of the selections as well was a bit off for me. Why putting Isak on the left and put Wilson? Like that really confused me. That really did genuinely, like, Guimaraes was not in the game. That was one of the games. I like him as a player, but he was not in the game. Jolinton, he was just tackling everybody just for the sake of tackling. Willock was okay, had a very poor performance. Um, Botman and Sher went up to it as well. And you can't really blame the goalkeeper because the goals were there was more defensive issues. Like, we opened them up so easily.
Yeah.
Where was this? Where was this? Like,
Newcastle have this thing as good as their defense has been all season. Remember against Liverpool, how they just conceded silly goals against
yeah,
us in the Carabao Cup finals, silly goals against Man City. Like they do have a mistake in them. They've not been flawless. They've been very good, but they like if you can just hit Newcastle with the first goal, you silence St James's, you silence Wembley, wherever they're playing. If they concede the first goal, it's like the momentum, the heads drop. But
yeah,
it
it's a
could have been
mentality
completely
issue.
different
Yeah,
yesterday. Like with like they had a few chances. They hit the post in the first minute. They had a penalty
like
shout,
a couple of
even though it wasn't
times.
a penalty. So that game could have been Newcastle could have started brilliantly, but it doesn't always work your way. You know what I mean in football.
Yeah,
You don't always get not every team is gonna be Spurs. You're not gonna drop every team 6-1. It's not gonna happen. Not
no, like,
everybody
yeah,
is that
yeah,
bad.
yeah. And, like, the thing is, I was also just questioning because you mentioned Liverpool, you mentioned United, you also mentioned even I think it's a quality thing with Newcastle. As good as those players are, their quality is nowhere near. Not it's not like a massive gap. Let's be real. I think they're
Mm.
quite close. I think they're
They,
probably
they
best
just
of
need
the
a bit
rest.
more. Just like a tiny, like a smidge.
You need, like,
Just
high quality. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
if they get into Europe, they're gonna struggle with this team. Sorry, with this team. They're
They
gonna
will
struggle with this
because
team.
how many
And the
times do
depth,
you concede the first goal? You cannot predict what the other team is gonna do. Even like
yeah.
you saw United, mistakes happen, and then you find the team just shut up shop. There's nothing you can do about it. You're just gonna have to, and it's gonna be sad. I don't want to see Newcastle qualify for Champions League and then still end up in Europa. That will be quite sad for them.
No, no. You
It'll
know what will
it'll
happen?
be a tough season.
Depending on how far they progress in the Champions League, it will dramatically affect their performance in the league, without question. Say, like, they get into third place in the Europa League, it will again affect them. But let's say they get out the group stages, they won't be affected too much. Like, every
Yeah,
team, notice every team that has not been in Europe for some time, and I'm talking about like 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Like, there are teams that have not been in Europe for some time, like West Ham this season. Look at where they are in the league, but in the Conference League, look how far they've progressed. Versus our team. Our teams,
mm,
the lowest we've gone is eighth in how many years with Europe. You see, like Europe
Yeah.
has its and has its effects, but if you've been there long enough, like your cities, your Liverpool, even Liverpool can even Liverpool, and you've been in Europe for some time. They've just had a really bad season, so they kind of used to it. Like City are now competing on all fronts. They have a final to deal with. They're in the semi-final of the Champions League, and they are now currently first in the league. They've been in it for so long that now they're kind of used to it. At some point, you know, like it'll take time for Newcastle to get used to it. It will, like, give or take 4 or 5 years, which is why I was just saying, like, if they make Europa League, it wouldn't have been as bad. But I think the Champions League is a step higher, and what they need to do in the
Yeah.
market next year is focus on the second
And
league, because I saw the bench yesterday. I was like, yo, imagine now you're playing Barcelona, you have to now sub players. Now you're just like, yo, that
bro,
what are they?
even if you're playing a Dortmund or
Yeah, like
Besiktas or
you need
some
like a
weird team,
different,
it's tough.
yeah,
It's
like you need a
tough. The
different
Champions
kind
League
of
is hard.
like you need a
Like
different kind of quality,
people
because
look down on Europa, but there's still
yeah,
some good teams in the Europa League.
Europa League is hard. Europa League is
It's
actually
quite hard,
very,
bro. Like look who's in it now: Juventus, Roma. You wouldn't see such teams like usually in the Europa League. You'd expect a Frankfurt, or some weird ass team, but you get those teams that have fallen from their level in their respective leagues. You get them in the Europa League. It's weird, but that's how it is now.
and they still come on top. Like, and they are
Yeah,
still, like, remember when Arsenal and Chelsea went to the Europa League, and Chelsea was still a top team. Like, it's very difficult to, and bear in mind we had all English teams at that period. And I actually wanted to put this up before we get to United. Actually, do you think, just out of Premier League context for a second, do you think this is a year of dominance for Italy? Because think about it for 1 second. Think of all the Italian teams in the Champions League at the moment, Europa and Conference. They're all in those
yeah.
competitions here. And and the last time they were the dominant teams was when Napoli won it in 1990.
Um,
So
I wouldn't say.
could this
I
year
wouldn't say.
be a year of, like, all of them in the finals, all of them in, because it looks like it's gonna happen.
Yes, obviously now we're gonna have one Italian team in the final because it's all Italian AC and Inter semi-final. Europa
Yeah,
League,
like Juve
Roma,
and Roma.
Roma is still there. Juve is still there.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, Italy are doing well, dude. But do I see like an Italian Champions League winner? Sad. If
like
if
you see
City
two
if,
guys.
if City or Real Madrid win this, whoever wins between City and Real Madrid, I don't see them losing to the Italian teams. Not because they're not good enough, it's because of the way they play. They're very defensive.
But the
And
level, for
you,
me, I feel like the
yeah,
level is way too high for those guys. Shame. Like, you have to respect what the Milan teams have done this year. You have to respect what Napoli, until a certain point. Like, AC Milan just took them out of the Champions League, like that. Like, they didn't. And, like, one thing that people actually don't realize is that they actually have a very defensive team this time round. They're defensively difficult to break against. They're not like a team. They're not like your Barcelona's. They play a very solid style of football, in the sense
yeah,
that they can defend, they can hold out, and the whole league for 90 minutes. You saw that game against Tottenham. They held them out the whole time. They did absolutely nothing. So, and as for Inter have a very good manager in Inzaghi. He's a very good tinker of tactics. We have Juventus with Allegri, again, Roma with Mourinho, and I forgot the team in the conference league, but I have to check. But, like, they're also quite decent. They're not too bad like this time around. They have very well coached, well drilled teams. Versus, however, against the giants, like in Europa, I think Sporting is still there, if I'm not mistaken.
Didn't Juventus beat Sporting?
They did.
Yeah, Sporting is out.
Sevilla still there.
Um, Sevilla's there.
Oh, you
The
see now.
only
You see now. You see
the only
now.
Spanish team left, I think, in Europa. Um,
Who are they playing actually?
I think they're playing Juve.
And then Roma's playing who?
Who was the other semi-final? Um, I don't know, dude. Since United and Arsenal out of this Europa, I've not been paying attention to it.
But you stop focusing on it completely.
Yeah,
Oh, and we
it's
have
Roma
this week.
Leverkusen. Uh,
Oh,
uh, what's his name?
do you know
Xabi
who's the coach of?
Alonso. Yeah, Xabi.
And that's another interesting story. And that's another interesting story about Xabi because Xabi is linked with Tottenham. Xabi
Mm-mm.
Alonso is linked with the Tottenham.
Don't go there. Don't go there.
He can go to any other team, seriously. But like Xabi Alonso, hold on, let me just check Leverkusen quickly. Just 1 second. Leverkusen. Let's see where they're in the Bundesliga. This season, uh, it's not the Europa League. Um, 1 second. Bayer Leverkusen this season, they got Xabi Alonso this year. I know that, but like he's progressing them in Europe. They're currently they're sixth. They were like bottom half when he first came. You know that, right?
So it's like Emery.
We don't know. That's the crazy thing about him.
Let's
But
see what he does against Mourinho, bro. We'll judge him of that.
yeah, but from what I understand is that he's highly rated in terms of one of the young managers. He's highly rated because of his brain. Again, they came from the same school, him and Arteta, in terms of football. So the brain of him, and he's worked under many great managers. He's worked under Benitez. He's worked under Angelotti. He's worked under Mourinho. He's worked under a number of Pep Guardiola. He's worked under a number of great managers in his career.
I
So
feel like everybody's worked under Pep, bro. Even Ten Hag.
Ten Hag, Arteta, like yeah, company. Like I would say Pep has a very big influence, but there are other influences. Definitely, there are other influences, and him particularly, I would look at him at his career as who he's worked under and how they used him when he was playing. Because again, he was a very intelligent kind of player, as that deep line playmaker. So for me, he must have a massive football brain, and he took his time to get to the heights of his career. So it took him time just to get to this point, and now the fact that he's in a European final for semifinals, for me it's fantastic. Especially it's his first big job. So no, props to him, props to him. But